Okay guys, today I'm going to show you how to assemble a PDF pattern. You will need your scissors, some tape, and a ruler. And I recommend tape in a tape holder. This is one of my patterns that I've been working on, and you want to print it at 100% scale. Most patterns will have some sort of guideline for matching up your cut lines, and then they will have an outline around the sheet, which is the cut line that you are meant to cut out. Now, each pattern should have a test square on the very front page, and this one is right here. There should be 1 in inches and 1 in centimeters. And what you want to do is print out this page first before you print out the whole pattern and test it out. Make sure your printer settings are right. Get your ruler, measure that square on both sides to make sure that everything matches up where it's supposed to be, and then you can go ahead and print out the rest of your pattern. Do not skip this step, it could throw off your whole pattern. Now I'm going to set our tape aside for a moment, and we're going to start with the first sheet. Now, as you can see, our pattern line is here. This pattern only has one size on it, and our outline is here. So the top and left corners of our outline don't need to be cut out. I'm going to start with this right side right here, and you want to cut right on that outline. And then I'm going to take our second page and not cut out the left side, but match up the first page to the second with that little flap underneath. I find that it's not really necessary to cut off each flap because it takes up a lot of time, and I feel that leaving those flaps there gives you a little bit more stability whenever you're matching up your lines, a little bit more precision, because instead of cutting 2 lines, you're only cutting 1. And you're going to continue as you go. Only cut off one side, and I go in a row, go by rows. So you're going to cut off one side and then match it up to the next sheet. You want to make sure that your corners are matching, your middle guidelines are matching, and your seam line is matching. And when you tape, you only need to tape across your seam line. And we're going to add more tape when we get to the second row, but this is going to save you on tape. Because really, as long as you're matching up the most important parts, which is your seam lines, because you're going to cut through those, and those need to be taped through. And then soon you will see our page joiner lines, where all the corners join. And those are important, and those need to be taped through. But everything else really doesn't need to be taped through. Here we have some dart legs, those are matching up our guidelines, and once again, I'm just taping down that seam line here. And now I'm going to speed things up a bit to get to the next row. And notice here on this last page, you don't need to cut out that end piece there. Only the side that connects to your other row. And now we're down to our second row. You can see that the bottom of all of our first row still has the allowance of the edges connected. You want to make sure you're matching up the right piece, and this is our pattern line here. And I'm going to cut off the top line of my next row. And I'm going to match that up with the matching points, making sure that my seam line is matched up, and I'm going to put a tape right there where that seam line is. And on the next sheet, again, our little notches, making sure that the numbers are right, and you're going to be cutting off the top and sides of this next sheet. Because we are connecting 2 points at this row. And if you have a paper cutter, this definitely goes much faster. I do have one, but I always forget to use it for this. So here we have a lot of crucial points matching up. You want to match up your corner where the 4 pages connect. You want to match up the notches on both sides, and you want to make sure all of your seam lines are matching up correctly. And all of those spots are where you're going to want to put tape. Here, here at your seam line. So I'm putting one on the corner, and I'm also putting one across to make sure my seam line is covered. And then at this seam line for the next piece. Now I don't need to put one at the bottom because that is going to get connected to another row. Again, this is all about saving time and saving tape. So here we go again. We're going to cut off the top and sides of our next piece. And we're going to make sure to match up those corners, those notches, and those seam lines. If you have super slippery paper, it might help to use pattern weights for this. I find that usually my tape dispenser is pretty helpful. So this time I'm going across a long way, so I'm catching that seam line and that corner, and getting the seam line on the next piece. And you're going to continue like that. Once you're done, your pattern is going to look somewhat like this. It's a large grid. I've had to add seam allowance to this pattern, and that's shown in green, but most patterns will include seam allowance already. So you just continue cutting along until you have your whole pattern assembled. And when you're done, you can take it to the floor or wherever you're working and cut it out. You can kind of see through the paper where the parts that I didn't cut are. And to me, that just, again, saves time and gives you a cleaner line to tape along whenever you're connecting your pieces. And I'm pretty sure everybody knows how to cut out the pattern from this point. I do recommend that you cut with the project to the right of your scissors, or if you're left-handed and using left-handed scissors, to the left of your scissors. Fun fact, I am left-handed, but I cut right-handed. This is just going to make sure that you have a really clean cut without any of those super jagged edges. This is how scissors are meant to be used. And now I'm going to speed up the rest of this so we can get to the end.
And if you really want to speed things up,
you should get a rotary cutter just to use on paper. This has been on my to-do list for a while. Another thing you'll notice is that whenever you tape this way, it's a lot easier to fold up your patterns. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.